Okay, so there's a lot of us who might not have been in school for a while, you know. So it's college level material. It's through university, so it's a lot of reading, and you may have multiple things going on in your life. So it's a lot to try to get the reading time in, ingest it, do the activities, and so again, I started this out of my passion because I was enrolled in a course for 3 months and I didn't get hardly anywhere. And it wasn't because I wasn't working on it, but I was overthinking it. I kept just trying to read and go back and make sure I took good notes and did all of that. And this course is available anytime you're like, no, what was that again? Just go back to it, you know. Um, but it helps when you all are able to review the material before we start the session. Um, so that's why I always ask. It's helpful to you to do it that way. So hold on 1 second. All right, we're gonna go to the learning units. And once you click on the previous green go, it should allow you to get the next one opened up. So if you needed to skip down to something, you can click on, if you were only on unit 1 per se, you can go to unit 2 and then go back to the learning units, and unit 3 will become available for you. Okay, so are you all following me? All right, so you all are following along. You get what I'm saying with being able to access the units?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, so this wonderful section right here is dealing with unit 3, sexual and reproductive anatomy and physiology, right? So one of the key things about this unit is, even though we might have learned some anatomy, there was a lot of things left out because, like we learned in the previous unit, that they were working to make sure that we understood about STDs and STIs and made sure we knew about how to prevent pregnancy, unwanted pregnancies, but everything else was left out, right? And so when you learn anatomy from that perspective, a lot is missing, okay? And so with this curriculum, it's going to give you a more well-rounded version of your reproductive anatomy. And so when you go through here, the dialogue that is provided is really helpful, because not knowing what each of our backgrounds are is really key. So I'm just going to do some excerpts, okay? So our sexuality is experienced on many dimensions. Probably one of the most obvious is the physical dimensions. It is through our bodies that we experience sensuality, physical stimulation, and contact with others. There are also somewhat predictable psychological responses associated with sexual arousal, including blood flow through the genitals, vaginal lubrication, and erectile response. So our bodies have the capacity for fertility and to potentially create new life. For females, this capacity extends to the potential for pregnancy, gestation, and birth. Now, understanding the parts and functions of the sexual and reproductive systems is essential in promoting sexual health for yourself and for others. So the next thing is really going over the diagram of the vulva.
Do you have one of those pillows? I've always wanted one of those.
Yes. Can you grab that gold sachet right up there? So remember we talked about learning styles for adults in the last unit. So you're going to see how things overlap. Visuals are really great for adult learners. We learned that last week. Organization, all those kind of things, right? So right here, go ahead and display it for us, Tiffany. Go ahead and play with Queen.
I want to see one of these in person. Oh my goodness.
So that is a great visual. If you're doing, you can do webinars, you can do a certain portion in your parties as educational, make it fun, make it exciting. There are times that I have mother and daughter sessions. Have you thought about that? Have people book with you, mother and daughter, and have a little short portion where mom might be like, well, I want to share, but I'm not comfortable talking about it. You can talk about it together. We're adult sexual health promoters. There may be there is a different curriculum when you're teaching youth, but legally you can teach an adult and they can have their child present. We're not offering products. We're just doing anatomy and teaching about sexual health and wellness.
Because of that conversation, the parent may not be fully equipped to now, what to say. So we're letting them know, okay, these are some of the things, that you can say. Even this little pillow would be, a cute little
it's a great
visual for them to use.
So
I gotta get one of these in my repertoire.
Absolutely. Hint, hint, ways to use this this curriculum for your business, for your family.
Take this to all the parties, because some people might be like, they don't really realize that, all the little parts,
Right. So show here, and when we get through, we can go back over it. So you have the clitoris, and we talk about that clitoral hood. When that increased blood flow is there, it swells, and this lifts up naturally. Okay. And then you have access to that clitoral bulb, and we wouldn't want the hood to stay up, because we would be walking around and talking to people and rubbing up against stuff, and that would be just like too much fireworks all the time, right?
Right. All the time.
So that's the purpose of the clitoral hood. And then finding out, everybody always asks about even the G spot, right? So when you use you're laying on your back, because look at the position you're in right here. You're laying on your back, and if you take these two fingers and kind of reach up this way, then there's this texture. But look, the puppet actually has a texture there. So when they stick their fingers in there and they're pressing up, it's like, oh, that right there. Yes, that's where you would look for your G spot.
Like
we don't get to see vaginas on a daily basis.
Okay, right.
It's okay to not know, but it's definitely great to share with somebody.
Sure,
and I always encourage the ladies, I'm like, get a mirror, and you should get a mirror. If you haven't looked downstairs, don't be running to the doctor asking somebody to tell you more about what it looked like when you do, right? You're gonna get to know yourself. So probably the most common mistake people make about female anatomy is it has to do with external genitals. Many people mistakenly refer to the external genitalia of a female as the vagina. Though commonly used, that is actually incorrect. The external genitals for a female are collectively called the vulva. So this, what you can see from the outside without exposing or pulling anything back, that is considered the vulva. Okay. The word vulva refers to several parts of the woman's genitals, including the clitoris, the vaginal opening, the labia majora, and the labia minora. So you have the thick outer lips and the inner lips, and all the lips don't look the same. So look at this diagram here. So there's no one standard vulva. They are all going to look different. And it's all based on our body makeup and our experience. Okay.
Even like, I know I don't want to get off track, but I know like the clitoris, some people's are larger than other people's.
Yes.
Some are way more sensitive. Maybe because they're larger, they're tend to be more sensitive.
Right. That is very true. Like when that increased blood flow comes out on someone who has a larger clitoris, you'll be like, "Oh my God, what is that?"
Right.
But we don't get to see each other's stuff. But that's how different it is. So then you have the vagina, which are all your internal parts. And that's also known as the birth canal. So stick your hand in there, Tiffany. You see how it ended up wonderful with the puppet?
Yes,
okay. So that is an internal organ, a muscular canal of sorts. Externally, only the vaginal opening is visible, and the vagina itself is not. So it's called the vaginal opening. So the vagina is further up, it's deeper in, and so you don't even see the vagina. Right. So imagine we walking around talking about this is my vagina.
Like, your vagina, no.
And that's your vulva.
That's right.
So as sexual health promoters, now we know what to call it.
That's right.
Right? So again, that's talking about the variations. I'm gonna go to this next page so you can see right here. So this is just a diagram. There's a lot of artwork centered around like what vulvas look like, because they come in literally all sizes, shapes, and colors.
I love it.
Yeah.
Our bodies are amazing.
So I'm gonna move from section 1 and go to. So we can talk about parts of the vulva, and that is somehow got a little bit out of order. I don't know how 6 hopped in there. Yeah, but we kind of just went over that.
You went over parts, the internal, reproductive parts.
Okay. So one part is the mons pubis. That's the most visible part of the vulva. It is a triangular raised layer of fatty tissue located over the pubic bone. So you know this part up here, that fatty part, that most of the time, even if you have a bikini, it's going to be covered where the pubic hair is. Mons pubis, okay? So you got your labia majora. This term means the major lips. And so because they do vary in size, sometimes the labia minora is larger than the labia majora. It's just the outer lips.
Right, okay. So the inner lips are sometimes larger than the outer.
Yes, because we
that
all
had to be increased sensitivity also. I imagine.
Yep. So major lips, outer lips, labia minora, inner lips. Okay. Then we're going to say, we talked about the clitoris. That's your nerve-rich and sensitive part of the vulva. Okay. And then there's another diagram. Okay. So we do not urinate from the clitoris. There is a small little area, and here on the diagram, on the puppet, they put a little flower there. That is for the urethral opening. So again, they made it really visual. It has texture to it. Okay. So another area is your perineum area, and that's going to be right here between where your anal area is. And it's like a little skin, it's a little space there. That's the area that sometimes in childbirth stretches way too, it tears, it's way up, but it's a very sensitive area, and it's actually an erogenous zone. So opening act, our little purple toy with the little bulb in, you put opening act there, and it's like, ooh, it's a sensitive spot.
Really?
It's an erogenous zone.
That's right down in here.
Right past where the vaginal opening is, that little thin skin between the vaginal opening and your anus.
Okay.
Yep. So that's your perineum area. A lot of rich nerves. Another myth that you can debunk when you're teaching is that you have to urinate after intercourse. You know, a lot of people are confused as to whether they're peeing or they're squirting. Yes, you can only do one or the other, similar to how all males are, but our anatomy is different, but it is still the same where women, we're not doing them simultaneously. You're not squirting and peeing, but the fluid that we're actually squirting out is a bodily fluid, and it is made up some of the same compounds, because I had this discussion and somebody like, is it pee in there or not?
Right. I was gonna say, so it's not coming from the urethra.
No, it's not.
It's coming from inside our.
So we do have a no, it's coming from your vagina.
Okay.
The vaginal opening. That squirting is coming through there, but the compounds and what it is made from, I made sure I had a doctor explain this. Okay. And the way she explained it, technically, yes, there's urine in there because of the compound makeup, but it is not a mixture specifically like urine reaching over into it. Okay. So she said yes and no, but it is not like straight urine.
Okay.
It's like your sweat has some of the same compounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Just want to check the chat make sure.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the next section: female external sexual and reproductive parts. So look, we done reviewed all this already. Okay, so your vagina is a flexible muscular canal that's approximately 3 to 4 inches long when one is not aroused. And this is really key, ladies. It extends from the vaginal opening that you can see here at the vulva to the cervix, so deep inside. During sexual arousal, the vaginal walls secrete a clear, slick fluid along its length. The lower 1/3 of the vagina, closest to the opening, is often the most sensitive to sensation. So down in here, close to that perineum area, okay? The vagina has a great capacity to stretch, as is the case during vaginal intercourse, much more so during vaginal childbirth, okay? So it starts out with the 3 or 4 inches long when it's not aroused, of course, right? But what happens when the arousal process takes place, or the reason why it's so important for foreplay or things to happen to create that increased blood flow, right? So imagine trying to insert a penis that's 5 inches long or more, right? And you're still at 3 or 4 inches, then it's going to create a problem for you. What happened? Okay, go tell them. Can y'all get him and put my curtain down? Again, we want to make sure that little people are in the room. He'll eventually learn this anatomy, but not today. Thank you. Come on, Aubrey. I'll bring you in here for the youth session. Okay. Thanks. Okay, so really important to figure out and learn more about how to increase that blood flow or create that arousal process. So it could be music, it could be lighting, there could be fragrances. Yes. Think about all of your senses. Those are key things to bring about that arousal process, okay?
You think that's funny?
Yeah.
Why? You have no self-respect.
Wait. No.
Okay, so we're going to keep going. The good thing about this curriculum is it's going to overlap. This isn't the only time we're going to talk about this. So we got the G spot, also known as the Gaffenberg spot. So we talked about taking those fingers in, laying on your back, and being able to penetrate or reach it right through here. That is something that some have to experiment more with if you have not become familiar with yourself, and it's good to learn about it by yourself before even introducing a partner, because it kind of creates a little more comfort. You could be like to the left or to the right, or I don't know if I like it like this, or you can create your comfort zone. But about 1 to 2 inches inside the vagina on the other side of the front wall, vaginal wall. But because it's not something that one can directly see or touch, some suggest but firmly stimulating this area with one's fingers or a toy or partner's penis to see how it feels. So yes, on the real live thing, you're not going to have lace and all that kind of stuff to create that texture, but that's where the space is. Also, some women have the capacity to have an ejaculatory response, which is a clear fluid, which is ejaculated during sexual arousal or orgasm, often in a connection with G-spot stimulation. So it's not limited to, but you can do squirting from clitoral stimulation as well as G-spot or vaginal. Pretty much there's 3 ways that you can get that that heavy stimulation for orgasm. Okay. And you have to find what your thing is, right? So relatively little is known about why some people experience this capacity of ejaculatory response and others do not.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So you have a diagram here with anatomy showing your fallopian tubes. your ovaries. This is where the uterus is. So you know how we talked about that vaginal canal? You see how long it is?
Yeah.
Then you have that cervix that they're talking about through childbirthing. The cervix is an area where they would be able to measure how open it is, to see how dilated you are, because as the baby is traveling down and approaching this canal, they can tell by how much it opens as to how close you are, how close the baby is to coming down. That's just some science around it. Remember, everything is not limited to these numbers or this system, because somebody else could say, yep, I never dilated past X, Y, and Z.
Really?
And then this and that happened. It eventually opens up, but it all does it in its own time. Somebody might open up and they know, okay, they got an hour before it's going to make those next few centimeters. Somebody else can go from a 5 to a 10 real quick. Okay, so we are not all created equal, and that's okay. This talks about the HPV vaccine. It's good to read about that so that you're knowledgeable, okay? The uterus is also called the womb. The uterus is where a fertilized egg would actually implant to initiate the process of pregnancy. Hint, hint, that is on the quiz. Look, don't try to memorize it. This is something that you can either print or make index cards for if you want it. But if you want to learn the definitions, it's an open. And I'm glad it hopped back in, because sometimes it'll have a heavier glitch. Okay, good. Okay, ladies, we got disconnected just for a minute. I appreciate you all hanging in there, and I'm glad we didn't have to restart. And it looks like my recording hopped right back in there. So let's get back to it. Every now and again, the internet connection does that. Yes, the dog that snores.
I felt it on the floor.
Okay, so we were talking about the uterus. Okay, so that was on a test. The uterus is where a fertilized egg would implant to initiate the process of pregnancy. The uterus is muscular and flexible. Normally, the uterus is the size and shape of a small pear. During pregnancy, it expands to accommodate the growth of fetus. My goodness, that's the amazing things that our body can do, or even multiples.
Amazing.
Right?
That is amazing.
So the lining, called the endometrium, thickens with extra layers of blood and tissue to nourish the fertilized egg. If fertilization does not occur, the extra lining is shed as the menstrual fluid. Now, endometriosis is a serious health condition where endometrial cells grow outside the uterus and cause discomfort or pain. So we've had several ladies post in the group about different experiences. That has not been my experience on the journey. However, I have heard very, very good reviews and things on doing the yoni steams.
Oh, okay.
Yoni steams help to lighten that discomfort.
Okay.
It doesn't take everything away, but it helps with the process. Okay, your fallopian tubes, and like they were in the diagram, these run from the top of the uterus to the ovaries. They are about 4 inches long in diameter, needle at the connecting point with the uterus. They expand to the width of a cooked spaghetti for most of the length. Wow. And then they widen at the opening near the ovaries. So that egg is really small, right? Wow. This end contains tendrils or fingers called fimbriae that float next to it and drape over the ovaries rather than connect them. Fimbriae direct the ovum or egg into the fallopian tube upon release from the ovary. When fertilization occurs, it usually takes place in a fallopian tube. Then you have your ovaries. They're the female gonads or sex organs that produce reproductive cells. And get this, about 400,000 immature ovules or eggs are present in ovaries at birth.
That's amazing to me.
When you come in this world, bam, 400,000. Okay. Yes, it's initiated by hormonal change at puberty, and an ovum matures. beyond what could be used. The ovaries also produce the hormones estrogen and progesterone, which are responsible for pubertal changes in females, including those in the breast, vagina, and uterus. Now, these hormones also play an important role in humans' fertility cycle. So, Tiffany, with your clients, I'm sure that this has come up. Whether you're doing something dealing with fertility or not, hormones is a major part of our sexual experience.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And many women even struggle with aspects of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Not having a safe place to have these conversations is the reason that we're here.
Yeah,
you know.
That's right. That's right.
Because everyone doesn't come with a balanced estrogen and progesterone levels. True. There's a lot of factors that I've read about that contribute to hormone imbalances, and you would be surprised. So if you get through this course, that's another book or podcast or something I would read and listen about, because you're going to come up with this with women all the time. Okay. Hormones are the reason for vaginal dryness. Sometimes it is low libido. It's what makes or break us with fertility and with your sexual experience.
What about like even sometimes you have hormones that produce extra hair?
Yes.
Like some women maybe have extra hair in places that men would normally have, like maybe facial hair and stuff like that.
Yes. What about the little on the chest?
Exactly.
And things
so
like that
may even affect everything else. So if you're producing so much of one, is that like somewhere where you're maybe lacking?
So that indicates a level of imbalance. And it's always advised to deal with your physician and even a professional when you feel like, you're giving me a surface answer. Let's dig deeper. Let's do some testing. A specialist would be able to really do hormone tests. Okay. So your physician is usually there just to see if they can pick up some of the signs, which they may or may not, because they're not a specialist in that area. So you can push and say, but I'd like to really look into this further. So I'm not comfortable. I think something isn't okay, and there's nothing wrong with checking. And then the doctor would write up like a referral and say, hey, we're going to send you to a doctor that specializes in hormonal. I forgot the name of the doctor. Endocrinologist. Thank you. That's it.
Okay.
So endocrinologist knows what type of testing to do. We'll go by your symptoms, what you're experiencing, and can run a lab one. Okay. Breast
everything.
Everything. You wondering why you ain't you like feeling irritated
some days,
So as consultants, we can offer products if there isn't a major underlying issue. Right. So we're not claiming to fix anyone. You know what I mean? Hey, you're having a bad mood. Yes, we have hello libido. We have basic instinct. We have our body do that has pheromones in it. Those things can be helpful. Right. But if there's something else going on, it's always recommended for you to guide your clients to a specialist, see your physician. That there's some signs there that might say, hey, you might need to look into that a little further. Breasts are your sexual organs for people of all genders. They have a role in nourishing offspring for those who breastfeed or chest feed. The size and shape of breasts and the size, color, and shape of areola or nipples vary greatly. So take a look there. Also, breasts don't come one and the same. And so it's okay. As women, we have to get past some of our body imagery because of different things we may have heard or been told or images that we've looked at. We are sometimes uncertain if ours is okay. And that creates a problem also when you're dealing with partners or bedroom or looking at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes we don't. And we should. Why are you turning away? Look at your own nipples. It's okay. You know what I mean? Get to know them. And then you might, do things to kind of cover up and all of that when you're dealing with your partner, where a lot of times they might want you to be a little more free, because even if you think you loose, if you covering up your nipples and trying to make sure this arm ain't showing and something else, then you know that
mentally your mind is now you're like not even focused.
Hold on, I might have to take a quick. Hold on.
Questions in the chat.
Let me see. Hold on, Mark looks like you need me for a minute. Hold on. Why can't hold on.
Change the view.
I was trying to hit where I can mute. Okay, so I'm gonna get to it. My time is almost up, ladies. Okay, so we get through things talking about the breasts. We got our male genitals and reproductive systems and the erogenous zones. We talked a lot about all those things and why they're so key. So read, ladies. Really good information. Step-by-step guide to Kegel exercises for women. There was one other something. I thought that it was a chart. Oh, this chart here, I moved a little fast, but prevention of bladder infections, inflammation of the bladder. Read that in the blue. That is really, really good insight. Because of time, we're not going to read through that, but you may be doing something so simple that could cause you to have a bladder infection. It's not washing your hands prior to masturbation or even touching yourself can cause you to get enough bacteria to have a bladder infection.
Not peeing right after sex.
Yep, not peeing right after sex. Not washing away the bacteria. Even the way you wipe. Oftentimes, and there is no age behind it, some people just don't know why there's a difference where you have to wipe front to back. Front to back, ladies. If you do it any other way, the bacteria from the anus or your butt, okay, just keeping it real, would cause an infection. Okay. And so people of different body sizes have different experiences. So if you're heavier and you're not able to reach certain things like that, hey, there's other creative ideas and things you have to do. Sometimes you might need a little spray bottle or something, unless you get one of the fancy toilets. A little bidet, right? But yes, not all of us are able to reach a certain kind of way, but if you get that bacteria up front, you'll have a problem continuously, and your doctor will be trying to figure out what and why. All right, interactive quiz. The interactive quiz is pretty easy. It says, think about your own family conversations or school-based sexual health education growing up. What did you learn about the vulva and vagina or penis and scrotum? So when you were growing up, what did you really learn? All that we talked about, we just went over the female anatomy. We didn't really do the male anatomy so much. But what did you learn? What did you learn? Did you learn that in school? I don't think I learned anything. So you're just writing about what your experience was. So in what ways do you feel your work as a sexual health professional can be used to help others feel positively about their bodies or their partner's bodies? You can write about that. No worries, right? You're going to take that 15-question quiz. Breast cancer is the most common type of cancer in the world. True or false? Okay, it's a question about male genital circumcision, etc. Okay, I'm gonna go and we're gonna take a peek at unit 4. This is actually one of my favorites, sexuality along the lifespan. Okay, so sexuality encompasses more than just our sexual behaviors and interactions. Who we are and how we experience our world is influenced by our sexuality from birth, and it continues throughout our lives. How others interact with us also impacts our sexuality and how we experience it, as do cultural messages. So remember last chapter, we talked about all these different cultural backgrounds shaping and molding our thoughts about our bodies and what is sex and what is sexuality, right? The messages about bodies and sexuality that we receive as children, as adolescents, as adults, it can be subtle or explicit. So along the lifelong process, you have the sexual response and hunger, skin hunger, which we went over in the last unit. Feelings of liking and loving others and sharing trust, gender and biological sex, body parts and functioning, the unfortunate possibility of experiencing sexual exploitation. Okay, so those things, they all have a framework, and they're very important throughout your different life stages. Okay, so all people have emotional and physical aspects of sexuality. Each of these parts of our sexuality is influenced and constantly interacting with the environment, which includes the people around us. So we went over the circles of sexuality, and it had these different components: sensuality, all of those things. So again, overlapping. We went in chapter 1 and 2, but now we're talking about it again in 3 and 4. And you're going to find out throughout these units, a lot of the information overlaps, and you should feel really good by the time we get to 8. And it's like, okay, yeah, we've been talking about this all along. It's okay. So our sexuality is a fundamental part of our biological and social heritage. So we are structured to address a variety of human needs using both biological and emotional aspects of our sexual selves. This not only fulfilling the need to maintain the population through procreation, but also addressing basic needs like safety and connectedness. Consider that even something as basic as having a sense of what sexual feelings are acceptable and which are unacceptable. It is an aspect of our sexual socialization which can endure for a lifetime. Clearly, our sexuality is always a part of who we are. So there's an activity here, and one of the things that they want you to do is, it says, using the broadest definition of sexual being, include all of the topics in that circles of sexuality model. See that overlapping? That we introduced in Unit 2. Think about each of the stages of development listed below and list 3 sexuality issues or ways that sexuality might be experienced during this stage. So they gave you an example. Birth to 3 years old. Example, learns about love and trust through touching and holding. So they gave 3 examples. Bathing, learning his or her body parts and having others touch them. Okay. Diapering, changing requires others to touch and clean their genitals. They will learn what they like and what they don't. So who's changed their baby diaper and you done seen it stand up, or the air got on it and made them feel a certain kind of way. They wanted to pee real quick, all those things. So they're learning this very, very early along, even before they can express it. Toys associated with gender, what a family and friends accept and tolerate. Who know about boy toys and girl toys, right? So those are things that we impose on children. And throughout this activity, they really want you to go through and name something for each of the stages. Okay, so you would do that. That's going to be a part of the interactive activity in this unit. So read through here, because each of the stages have really, really key. It has some fundamentals. Okay. Like they're using that word. It has some fundamentals to each stage. Your childhood, your adolescence, late adolescence, sexuality in adulthood, and in the latter years. Now, why do we want to think that the older people don't have nothing going on?
They don't stop. Yeah.
So they do.
Men can still be making babies,
Yes. So those are the great things that you would review over in the rest of these units. But I am going to open the floor for 5 whole minutes for any questions for everybody. And again, if you need word for word, watch the YouTube videos, because 3 and 4 we went through and through. Yeah. Including the quiz and the answers. So this is just a 1 hour powwow. Let's see how you're coming along. And I'm going to allow you all to unmute and ask questions, because I'm going to go on time today. Anybody? Thank you. Everybody not at once. Okay, so while we're waiting for somebody to have a question, in the Facebook group where it is specific for those who are interested and want to be sexual health promoters. I want you all to engage and provide feedback. You got a plate? Why you can't get them? Can you bring it? Okay. Y'all, the baby eating the cake we just baked. Okay. I wanted you all to feel comfortable enough to interact, and that's why. Oh my God. You sure you ain't do that, Emma? Emma's like, I just want to taste it. Look, y'all, he ate the cake. Okay. Wait, I'll tell you the story behind it. Okay. I do want you all to feel comfortable enough to answer questions when I post them or comment, because it is for individuals like you, like me, like us. That's why we're in the group, and it's not in the main Zebra group. So feel comfortable enough to ask questions. It doesn't always mean it's your experience, because we're dealing with clients, right? So if it makes you feel better, just be like, my friend asked, and what do I say? I'm asking for a friend. It's okay. Right. I want you to know that it is a judgment-free zone when it comes to, trying to get this information and sharing it. You could ask because you want to make sure that what you were told, even as a child or as an adult, is that the correct thing. You know how many people have been tearing back and forth, do you wash your vulva with soap or not? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. What do I tell my clients? Versus what my own experiences, because remember, we're not necessarily sharing all of our own experience. That's true. We're going to make sure it's factual, and we went over that in unit 1 and 2. So do your research, find out what is the right thing. Are there some articles on it? Because that would be good to post in your VIP group, right? Yeah. So take this in the learning experience and don't overthink it where you can't be open. Because I've seen it was kind of like crickets in the Facebook group, it's okay though. I get it. It's new. We're new to having a comfort zone for this kind of discussion, and it's okay. It's okay. And remember, I think a few of you have inboxed me. I am very open. I try to get to you right away, answer your questions, help you out. And if I make you feel comfortable, let me know that too. But any questions?
I have a question unrelated. Is the quiz actually the test?
This is it. Yeah. Those 15 quiz gets you through the course. Once you get to the last one, the same 15 for that last unit.
Right, but don't feel pressure on each of those, because if you're not pleased with your score, you can go back. You can go back and retake it. They still have it that, right?
Yep, you can still retake
it. Back and retake it, but it's open book.
I usually have 2 tabs open.
I do too. Yeah.
And I'll look and see where I found that, or I'll answer and say, well, why did I come up with that answer? Am I sure? If I'm not sure, then I'll go back and find it. If I'm confident, I don't go back and look it up. I'm like, okay, I got that. And then when you get to the end, it was throughout the unit. I don't know which ones, but it was some questions I felt like were worded real tricky.
They were some tricky questions.
Yeah, some of those. And then you might be like, no, I was confident in that. And you can go back and say, oh, because they used this particular word and it made it. Okay, bam.
Okay.
You can't make it so easy. It's already on the book. You got to put a little twist on those words.
Right. Was that good for you, Gina?
Yeah, that's good. Because I had started before back in January, but I never finished it. And I took 3 of the quizzes, but I don't see where they're saved at. So I'll have to go back to number 1 and start all over again.
No, really quick. Let me show you. Let me share my screen. Hold on. Okay, y'all follow along. So when you're here, when it has at the top, do you see my account and dashboard right up here at the top?
On my
screen.
I see menu. Okay. I see. So should I click on my dashboard?
So when you click on your dashboard, it's going to give you all these boxes with your progress. And
okay.
a couple different ways. You can look at your scores here where it says your score quiz, or it can say study progress. Okay. When you do study progress and click more, it's going to give you the breakdown of activities versus
I see. Okay. I see it.
The quiz, because you can't finish all the quizzes and not do the activities.
Okay. I see
I
where
mean,
I
you know, in order to
finished
finish.
Right. Okay.
Okay, tell them I'm coming right now.
Okay.
So do you see
Perfect.
that? And so it'll give you a percentage of completion. And
Okay,
if
got
there's
it.
something you're like, why am I not at 100%? This is where you would find what you need.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank
All right.
you.
Anybody else? Okay. She had to go. All right, that's it, ladies. All right, if you need help with anything, please reach out to us. If I did announce this last time, but if you're interested in being on a team of promoters for the zebras, let me know. You do not have to be a doctor to do this. It just means that you're passionate about sharing the information and helping out. So some of our ladies help post in the group. Just being like kind of like a leadership or team support, and but specifically related to the sexual health and wellness. Okay. Did you have anything, Tiff?
Just don't overthink it. I did that for the first, I don't know, the first 6 units or so, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm making this way more harder than it is. You know, it's a lot of material, but don't overthink it. You know, and you know, just get a system that works for you. So like Carol said, and I discovered that late into the session, but just, you know, if it helps to have that tab open, you know, unless you can commit everything to memory, which, you know, I couldn't, it's a lot of material, just have a tab open that where you can scroll through the units, and then have a tab where, you know, you're doing the quiz at the end. I did all the quizzes, and then I went back and did the activities. Hindsight being 2020, I probably would have done them at the same pace. I just didn't realize, I think, until I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do all these activities.
Right, them activities sitting there like, nope, you at 80%.
Exactly. So it's good to have it, do it while it's on your mind, you know. But yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah, don't overthink it. But you know, get into it and make the most of it, because it's only going to be, you know, helpful to you and your business overall.
So, ladies, tell me your secret is to how do you remember all of the information that you read? Like, I have a tendency of reading it, and then 5 seconds later, I probably forget exactly what I read.
Me too. You won't. And like, I'm probably going to go through the whole thing again, just as a refresher. Many of the ladies, they're going to go through. You're not, just like even about the business itself, you're not going to know all the things. You're not going to remember all the things, and that's okay.
It's where to find it.
It's where to find it. As long as you know you got a what do you call it? Like, put a bookmark in it, or you know, you can go back to it. You can reference it. You know, print it out. Whatever works for you. Put some things that you know are important on note cards that you may need to reference at a party or something. You know, if you're like, what was it about? You know, in case somebody come to you and say, you know, I got these hormonal issues. You know, could that be why I'm, you know, having dryness? You know, you might be like, oh, okay, you might want to consult with your doctor, because you know that, you know, hormonal changes can, you know, affect, you know, your sexual experiences, you know. So, you know, whatever works for you, but you do not have to commit all that to memory at all. The good thing about it is, you know, it's self-guided and it's open book. So like, you're not gonna like get kicked out the program. You're not gonna, you know, if you fail, it's because, you know, you didn't like totally apply yourself, because like nobody should fail this, you know, because you can go back and you can go back and retake and correct, you know, the errors that you know may have made, because there are some tricky questions in there. So just don't overthink it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, yes. All right, ladies, it's our time. Okay. Can I take a screenshot? I have to take a picture of a picture. How do we do the?
You got a print screen button. Yeah, you got print screen.
I sure do.
You want to keep your participants in?
Oh no, take that out. Okay. We're gonna take a quick picture, y'all.
Okay. Anybody want to come off and show their beautiful zebra faces?
Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. And then we just hit it.
Gina.
Okay, we got a couple more. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. Oh, we get a couple more. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Yes, yes, all the faces. Thank you, ladies. Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3.
Uh-oh.
What?
Hold on. Okay.
Did it do it?
We're gonna print it and then we're gonna
all right. Does it mean you got
and then
it?
we'll put it on